New Ebola fears this morning. Airports set to scrutinize travelers from Africa, and that has airline workers worried about their safety. Right there's a live shot of some of them protesting at LaGuardia Airport in New York this morning. Some of them are actually even on strike. ABC's Cecilia Vega is in Dallas with all the latest. Good morning, Cecilia.
George, good morning to you. Family members here are now mourning the loss of Thomas Eric Duncan. This as now fears over Ebola in this country spreads here in Dallas and at those airports.
No justice! No peace!
Overnight, nearly 200 airport employees responsible for making sure airplanes are clean and safe for passengers are walking off the job, saying that they are not being kept safe.
In the light of the Ebola scare and the so many infectious diseases that are coming through the airports, you would think that a contractor would do more.
This comes as 5 of the largest U.S. airports step up the fight against the deadly virus's spread. In 2 days, workers at New York's JFK will begin taking the temperatures of all passengers getting off flights from West Africa. The other 4 will follow next week. 94% of travelers from Ebola-affected countries enter the U.S. through these airports. Dallas still on edge after Sheriff's Deputy Michael Moynig rushed to this hospital after fears he may have contracted Ebola. Moynig delivered a quarantine notice to Thomas Eric Duncan's family last week, entering the apartment without protective gear. Paramedics in hazmat suits turned this ambulance into a roaming isolation chamber for the ride.
Very scary time, so we're just trying to get through it.
Health officials now urging caution, saying even though Moynig's primary symptom is an upset stomach, they can't afford to make a mistake. On the same day the sheriff's deputy was rushed to the hospital, Duncan lost his battle with the disease, becoming the first person to die of Ebola in the U.S.
I'm deeply saddened. This is something we prayed and hoped would not happen.
Overnight, a vigil for Duncan, a community both saddened and fearful. Now, the same hazmat crews that cleaned out that contaminated apartment where Duncan had been staying also overnight cleaned his hospital room here. Authorities at this hospital are now focused on his remains. They have to follow really strict CDC protocols to handle his body. That means wrapping it in plastic and cremating it. Robin and George, that's because it is still so highly contagious.
You have to be so careful. Okay, Cecilia, thanks very much. So far, none of the other people who he had contact with have developed any symptoms.
That's right.